What's happening, everyone? Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking and diving straight into how to get a potential paid client gig. So we're talking the £1,000 marks. We're talking the much more expensive, not the cheap, here or there one-off type of clients. We're talking a professional corporation style client. So today we're going to be having a look at the way I approached it. It doesn't necessarily mean that, of course, this is the right way to go. It's just one way of actually going into it. So with that out of the way, let's begin. So if you are just like myself, chances are you actually like watching camera gear, all of that type of stuff, film, videography, photography, etc. You're into that type of field. So the chances are you've seen a hell of a lot of YouTube channels in regards to how they actually use their camera equipment to actually get paid gigs. I set out to do this particular thing. Hopefully I can get something out of it. If so, then obviously this is actually a win, to be honest. So let's just get inside. Obviously wear your face mask and all that kind of stuff, social distancing, and let's just see if I can actually pull something off. So in this situation, you are a beginner. You've got yourself a camera, you've got yourself a really nice lens, you've got yourself a whole host of equipment to actually start off your freelancing career. Now, for those of you guys wondering on what I actually use, I did actually make a YouTube video in regards to what I use for my filmmaking kit for 2022. So if you guys are interested in that, I will pop up that little link that you can click on so that you can go and watch that. Now, with that out of the way, you've got yourself a handful of, camera equipment, and it can, to be honest, can get crazy expensive, but you managed to actually make that work. You got yourself, whether it's a professional dedicated camera, whether it's a couple of years old or brand spanking new, if you can afford that, fantastic. But you're a hobbyist, you're still not a professional, you like taking photos still, so start off with your kids, probably your wife, maybe even yourself, your friends, etc. And then you want to actually get somewhat of a paid gig just to test the waters. So what do? So like I've mentioned, if you're just like myself, then most likely you would go to those individual privately owned businesses. So we're talking coffee shops, we're talking barbers, etc., that type of field, and you get yourself some some money returned. So you got somewhat of an income, but it's not actually livable. So with that aspect, what would you actually do next? And I had to interrupt there. I look back at the footage and it was all over the place, so I'm gonna have to puzzle it back in. So essentially what I was trying to get across is you've done your fair share of small businesses. You actually want to progress onto a much more more lucrative deals, lucrative contracts, and actually hit those dedicated companies that would hopefully actually get you paid better than what you have been doing for the past. So it was great that you've done these little side hustles, but obviously you want to elevate yourself, you want to get yourself to the next level. So what do? You target more professional companies, and obviously the way you approach it should be a little bit different, but still have your fundamentals still intact, if that makes sense. I hope it does, because it sounds right in the head. The fundamental is you actually have to somewhat be professional in regards to the way you approach it, but also to the way you actually demonstrate your work as well. Now with that, how can I say it? Demonstrate your work? Is that how you could say it, or how you would say it? Hear me out. So what I basically means is you have to be confident. Yeah, no worries. So there are a handful of flaws, handful of issues, handful of mistakes, if I could say, that I actually made. And of course, at the end of the day, we're going to be talking about that as well. So stick around for that later on, and hopefully you guys won't actually make that mistakes. But for now, what did I do? I did the most I can actually do. Now, what I'm trying to say, I don't want to waste your time. At the end of the day, the way I approach it is basically head into the place. Now, there are several different things that you can do. You can send out emails to businesses, you can call businesses, but at the end of the day, most of the time with this little success that I've actually had was basically just going to the places. Now, of course, that isn't feasible if you have to go out of town every single time, but you got to make sure which is the actually best option to actually go for, and at the same time you also got to keep in mind cost efficiency as well. Now, the mistakes that I did, first of all, was make sure you memorize exactly what you're going to say. This is the very first time I actually went to a corporation, a big place, you know, a big respectable company. Previously what I used to do is I just used to show my camera and be like, hey look, you guys interested in having a photo shoot? I think I'm after you since you were taking pictures of cameras. Okay. I'm basically a freelancer. Would it be okay if I can actually do like a video of one of your cars? I'm not taking it out, preferably one that's in the showroom. Of course, with a massive corporation, they're not really interested in that anyways, because most likely they'll have their dedicated, you know, commercial side, advertising side of a department that actually would deal with it. I didn't actually go to the relevant department. I was silly enough just to ask just a random person. Now this person that I initially approached was someone that was taking pictures outside. So at the time I thought it was a good idea asking him, because hey, most likely is he knows exactly what I'm talking about. But he could be anyone, you know. See if you can actually speak to somewhat of a manager, someone that can actually make decisions in this field, because the last thing you want to do is ask someone that's just a sales rep. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but what I am saying is most likely the chances are that particular person might not be able to actually make a business decision in regards to especially potentially costing the company some money. I literally sat in the car at the end of that day and thought, what the hell was I doing? Third thing was, check your equipment. I know this sounds stupid, but I was in such a rush trying to get there before the sun went down, because the last thing I want to do, it was raining, I didn't really want to go in there at a bad particular time, so I wanted to beat the rush hour before 5 p.m. and I completely forgot the biggest thing that I actually need, the most important thing beside the camera and obviously SD cards, and that is the gimbal. I completely forgot the gimbal. It was tucked away in the corner, and that was obviously my prized possession that I knew I needed, especially if I was actually going to shoot some video. Now I did obviously bypass that by using the in-body image stabilization built inside of my camera, and on top of that I used the electronic on top of that, and some of my lenses actually did had stabilization built in that as well, so I did overcome that, but it wasn't as smooth, or it did restrict me from using certain maneuvers and obviously the transition that I actually had in my mind to actually edit that video. This is I think the most crucial bit about it. That video might flop or not, but at the end of the day, what you want to do is have a lasting impression. So you want to feel like you went out of that place with, you know, something that you left behind. You know, you gave them somewhat of a lasting impression. Lasting impression? I'm trying to actually get up with these big words, but it's not working out to be. You want them to remember yourself, so you want them to, oh, this is hard work, seriously. You want them to remember you, if that makes sense. You want to approach it in a way where you get paid for that particular shoot. So whether they're paying you or not, you got to make sure that you want to create a lasting impression, a professional impression. And of course, worst case scenario, you got yourself somewhat of content that you can actually use for your private, you know, website, Instagram and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, the most fundamental thing is you also got to learn about all of the mistakes that you've done, and obviously learn about all of the things that you have actually done. That's it for me, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this little video. I know this rambled on a bit towards the end, so this entire session, I kid you not, is about an hour long. I'm trying to comprise it in 10 minutes, so if it was all over the place, then I do apologize. If this video was of some use to yourself, or if you did enjoy this video, then of course I would greatly appreciate it if you could like this video. Comment down below if you've got any types of tips that I can actually use, or potential viewers can actually use, and of course don't forget, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.